Today with a good presentation from our first HFNA research seminar talk of many, hopefully many, from Dr. Pascal Atalor. So I want to introduce Pascal. Dr. Pascal Atalor is an assistant professor and extension specialist at the Department of Plant and Environmental Protection Sciences at CTAHR, UH-Manoa. He is based at the Komohana Research Extension Center here, where we're at today. And he has a bachelor's in zoology, master's in entomology, and then a PhD also in entomology. His interests and expertise include arthropod plant interactions, applied insect ecology, IPM, and data science. He works closely with the ornamental industry in Hawaii, enjoying the opportunity to work with and for the industry.
Thank you, Rusty.
My pleasure. Rusty. There you go. All right, Rusty. Take it away. And you feel free to use that if you like.
Right.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. And thank you so much to HFNA for the opportunity to speak. This is my first time to speak for HFNA, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity. Thank you. Okay, so the title of my talk today is Pest Needs Assessment for Ornamental Cropping Industries in Hawaii. And this is a very crucial part of my overarching extension plan of work. And I would like to thank Russell and Alberto for collaborating with me for this research. Okay, so if we recall from Dr. Dong Cha's talk today, this morning, he elucidated the decline of the ornamental industry, principally because of the phytosanitary rejections in export markets like California. And insect pests are one of the key or the driving factors for those rejections. So there's a lot of problems, and we must find solutions for. So typifying this decline is the floriculture industry, for example. In 2023, there was a 7% drop in export sales. Not good at all. So there's a lot of problems that we must come together and find real solutions for. So I started my position exactly 1 year ago. And when I started this position, I wrote an extension plan of work with the title Towards the Identification, Monitoring, and IPM of Ornamental Pests in Hawaii. The easiest thing to do would be to come in here and start developing IPM programs, but it's very important to ask questions, especially from the industry, to understand exactly what they need, to understand the pest problems and the kind of IPM strategies that we prefer. So I conducted a pest needs assessment based on the outcomes of the meetings I had from September to October of 2024. And the study was conducted from December of last year until February of 2025. And I disseminated questionnaires electronically. And also I disseminated a paper version as well for those that preferred to answer the question with paper. So both the electronic version and the paper version had the exact same questions, and there were 16 in total. So the first question on that we asked was, what islands are you or your business operations based? So, so far I've analyzed about 159 of the total I received. I still have a few left of the paper versions, especially from the Big Island, but the results show that Oahu and Big Island have the most ornamental productions and associated businesses when it comes to the ornamental industry. Kauai and Maui had similar proportions. Just 4% of the total respondents indicated that they do their businesses in Kauai and on Maui. And only 1% indicated that they have business operations on more than one island. So I'm pretty sure when I analyze the data, the paper versions that they have from the Big Island, that percentage right there from the Big Island will show up more than 13%. So question 2 was to underscore the occupations or the different roles that are involved in the ornamental industry in Hawaii. And as you see, there are people who are florists, landscapers, master gardeners, land contractors, educators and extension agents and lane makers, etc. So I added the option order to reflect or capture the occupations that were not on this list. And 15% of the respondents actually selected that. And of those 15%, 29% were gardeners, 14% were landscapers and shapers respectively. 7% were horticulturists. Another 7% were involved in salt farming. Another 7% indicated yard maintenance. 7% again indicated they were architects and planners. And civil servants as well, and condo management. So quite a diverse group of occupations are involved in the ornamental industry in Hawaii. So question 3A was, what kind of ornamentals do you grow or manage? So in total, 8% indicated that they are involved in the nursery industry. 21% said floriculture, and 31% the landscape industry. But if you look closely, you see that there were respondents that selected more than one. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, you can see that 40% indicated that they are involved in more than one. Thank you. In more than one industry. And if you look to the right there, you would see that it involves several combinations of landscape and floriculture, landscape and nurseries, landscape, nurseries and floriculture, and nurseries and floriculture. Pretty interesting. So question 4 was specifically, what plants do you grow, manage, or provide services for? So flowers constituted the majority of the ornamentals grown in Hawaii, but in combinations with several other ornamental crops, including food crops as well, such as fruits and vegetables. So question 5, 6, and 7 were, what pests do you consider as the biggest threat to the floriculture industry, the nursery industry, as well as the landscape industry? So here for floriculture, scale insects, ants, whiteflies, mites, and thrips constituted 84% of the total pest problems related to the floriculture industry. Now, if you pay attention to the next slide, you would see that for nurseries, the same group of insects, but this time, let's go back a little. So here we saw scale insects, ants, whiteflies, mites, and thrips for the floriculture industry, right? Now, when we go forward to the nursery industry, we're going to see scale insects again ranking top, ants, beetles, whiteflies, and thrips. Now, these groups constitute 92% of the total problems for the nursery industry. For the landscape industry, beetles came first. So beetles, scale insects, ants, whiteflies, and thrips represent 80% of the biggest problems that they face in that industry. So question 8 was, what is the name of the pest you consider the worst in your ornamental system? So here we allowed for local common names and local names of whatever the respondents know the pest are. So here for the different industries, you see an array of different pests we highlighted. Ants, aphids, the Queensland longhorn beetle, which most people still call the Australian longhorn beetle, the Chinese rose beetle, coconut rhinoceros beetle, of course. Fruit flies also came up as well. Gauze salid, the Japanese rose beetle, little fire ants, lobate lark scale, mealybugs, mites, scale insects, spider mites, thrips, and whiteflies. So the colored shaded boxes represent the intensity or the frequencies of these pests in the different industries or systems. So for example, if you look at the people involved in more than one industry, you see that they all indicated whiteflies. So if you look at the scale, whiteflies means the red color then means that all of them, all 100% of the people here chose whiteflies. That's one of the biggest problems. So question 9 was, what is your biggest pest-related challenge? So interestingly, over 50% of the respondents indicated that pest identification was their third biggest pest-related problem. In the same vein, over 50% indicated pest monitoring as their second biggest pest-related challenge. And as I expected, 50% also indicated pest control as the biggest problem in the industry. So question 10 was, do you have any needs with identifying and monitoring pests? And here we provided a Likert scale from 0 to 5, with 0 indicating no need for anything and 5 indicating complete or total reliance on specialists for identification and monitoring. So that right there is just a curve showing how the respondents answered this question, and I will explain more about that curve on the next slides. So 16% of the respondents indicated that they have no needs for pest identification and monitoring. On the other hand, 26% highlighted, some kind of needs that they have for pest identification and monitoring. 9% indicated fairly moderate needs for their pest identification and monitoring, while 21% said they have moderately high needs to identify and monitor their pest situations. On the other extreme, 18% indicated that they have high needs for pest identification, while 10% indicated that they completely rely on experts or specialists to help them with identifying and monitoring their pest situations. So question 11 was, what kind of pest management do you prefer? Here, again, we gave them a scale, and the scale was IPM with pesticides, IPM without pesticides, and pesticides only. So interestingly, 95% of the respondents indicated that they do prefer IPM. However, 44% of the 95 indicated that they prefer IPM without pesticides. And 51% said they prefer IPM with the inclusion of pesticides. But there was a group that chose pesticides only, no IPM. So question 12 was, have pesticides been effective for your pest management needs? Again, we provided a Likert scale, yes, no, and don't know. So the overwhelming majority, that's 63.
I'm sorry, yeah, 63%.
63% indicated that pesticides have been effective in their IPM programs for their pest control needs. Only 18% and 19% indicated no, and they do not know respectively. Still on pesticides, question 13 was, are the application rates of pesticides increasing? Again, we provided a scale of yes, no, and don't know. Here, the responses were not very clear. 30%, 33%, and 37% indicated yes, no, and do not know. So it's very unclear if pesticide rates are increasing or not in the industry. Question 14 was on IPM, because IPM it's used very loosely. I mean, in the literature of pest control, it's saturated in there. But what does it actually mean for a farmer? So we asked the question, IPM is a recurring paradigm in pest management. What does IPM mean to you? This is a very good question because it came back with interesting responses. But the good part is that the overwhelming majority, 32.8%, actually understood what IPM was as a holistic approach, which is multidisciplinary and transdisciplinary for pest management. However, a few people think it's a waste of time. If you also think it's just pesticides, nothing else, just spray and that's it. Again, there were a few people, actually quite a lot of people thought it involves the use of organic and synthetic pesticides for pest control. And there were some people who had no information or no idea of what it is. And other people thought it involves the use of just a small quantity of pesticides. So question 15, also on IPM, was, is there an IPM concern that needs to be addressed? And the respondents from Oahu and Big Island were very clear in their response. So here they indicated the need for research and development that involves artificial intelligence, AI. They also asked for, the basic or foundational and applied research and development. They also asked for marketing strategies. I wasn't sure what they meant by information scarcity, but I think maybe it relates to extension and education. But there was also another category for that as well. And also the need for control strategies. However, which is on Maui, which is quite interesting, the main request from them was education and extension. And then from Kauai, they asked for research and development that includes AI and also for foundational and applied research. So the last question we asked them was, what are your recommendations, or what do you think CTAHR extension services need to do to improve your pest issues? And the same results from question 15 was recorded here. So the industry is asking CTAHR for more research and development that involves artificial intelligence, foundational and applied research, policy and marketing strategies, more extension and education. Some of them had nothing to say, and then the others asked for control tactics. So the conclusion or the take-home message from this survey is that Oahu and Big Island, as we all probably already know, are the biggest producers and marketing niche for ornamental plants in Hawaii. And this is actually what is very important to me personally, because this is the reason why I conducted the survey in the first instance, to know what are the priorities for the industry. So here, scale insects, ants, and whiteflies affect all three industries of the ornamental sector in Hawaii. This is very good for me because it means that I can keep my job, because 95% of the growers support IPM, albeit the majority favor the inclusion of insecticides, which is not a bad thing because IPM is transdisciplinary. It involves the use of insecticides, but in a judicious manner that will not compromise the health of the farmer and the environment as well. So, based on all these results, what will I focus on? How am I going to transcribe these results to my research programs? Now I know what the biggest pest problems are for the three different industries. So just to recap, if you remember I showed a slide where I had this different pests. So for the floriculture industry, scale insects, ants, whiteflies, mites, and thrips, in that order, are the biggest problems for the industry. For nurseries, again, scale insects, ants, this time beetle here, whiteflies, thrips. And then for the landscape industry, beetles, scale insects, ants, whiteflies, and thrips. So if you look at this, look at the top or the highest priority. So for the floriculture industry and the nursery industry, scale insects ranked the highest. And then for the landscape industry, beetles ranked the highest. With that, I want to say a very big thank you to HFNA. Since I started exactly 1 year ago, it has been such a big blessing, collaborating with you guys. Thank you all for the support. Thank you to our county administrator, Dr. Bruce Matthews, for all the support and everything you've been doing for us. And everybody in this room basically has been very supportive. Thank you so much. Yeah, questions? Yes, sir.
So what is your next steps now?
That's a great question. So I've been writing proposals. The next step basically is look for money, research grants to start developing my programs. So I already know right now what the priorities are in terms of the different industries. And I've been writing proposals along those lines. For example, Dr. Dongtra and I submitted a PPA proposal. The goal is to identify volatile organic compounds from organic waste that attracts CRB, the coconut rhinoceros beetle. So the goal for that proposal, the objective of that proposal is to identify VOCs that we can translate into like a trapping system. And then Dr. Myers and I, we just got, I don't know if you're aware of that, but we got 55,000 from HISC to do some work. Part of the work she presented today, we got 55,000 to expand on that. And so basically applying for grants and for the different priority pests for the three industries.
And what we got immediately from this survey is that we need to do extension and outreach. So just an advertisement for us. We're doing an IPM short course led by Pascal. It's going to be starting for tropical growers on Big Island. We're going to expand it out to different crops, and we're expanding out to other islands as well. So we're going to focus a lot on direct extension outreach through these short courses. So some of you are signed up. If you're not signed up and you're an anthurium, orchid, ginger, heliconia, or potted foliage grower, or you just want to come, if you're a researcher, somebody in academia, and you want to come just watch, please do. Hit me up.
Yeah, great page. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Pascal, are you noticing anything? I know it'd be anecdotal, but in terms of what kind of
ecosystem surrounds an ornamental industry? Is it pasture, forest, papaya? Are you seeing any patterns happening? What kind of surrounding ecosystems are around the nursery?
So, it depends on the location. In Hilo, there's a lot of urbanization and land use intensity. So most of the farms there are all manipulated ecosystems. But if you go towards places like Ocean View, they have proximity to natural ecosystems like forest and things like that. So in fact, I was discussing with Neo this morning about, so I have like a current monitoring system that I'm doing. I'm collecting, I place traps and collect data every month from different farms. I can't mention the names, but it's very interesting. For example, whiteflies and thrips. There are some farms with maybe a few hundreds every month, which is okay because it's a huge farm anyways. But there are some other farms with tens of thousands. So obviously there are different reasons for that, which includes how often they spray the same kind of chemicals or what they are proximal to in terms of the different landscapes and things like that. So of course, that's going to be a very important thing to look at. I have a grad student, Bernard, who is currently looking at these abiotic factors. Yes, sir.
Recently, we successfully got a task grant, yeah. So is there a opportunity to use the task grant in a way to help you resolve some of those problems?
That's the boss right there. We need to ask him.
The task grant, was the task grant is able to help a little bit Pascal or some of these,
Well, I will send the money to him.
More money, more problems.
So you may have source of some funds.
Yes, he's great.
You're getting too much money.
Great. Any online questions? I don't think I see any. Then,
Oh, thank you.